Hi, Carol here, and welcome to my craft room today. We're going to do a triple flip card die card. Yes, I found this in my stash. Can you believe it? I have never used it and I love it. It's called Triple Flip Card and it's made by Spellbinders. And what's wonderful about this card creator die is that it opens up twice. So it's a double peekaboo card. And my card ends up 6.5 by 6.25 because this base is actually 6 by 6. And I couldn't get a better die because I love 6 by 6 cards. So I had to cut this out on my Big Shot Pro. It's 6 by 6 just squeezes into my Vagabond, so I didn't want to take the chance. So I put it on here with the two plates in between, and then I use the A folder there on top, and you get a perfect image every time. One pass. Wow, it's wonderful. And look at that. It opens up. Look at two peekaboos. I didn't even know I had this because it doesn't have any ridges there. And you know I'm shopping in my stash now, so this was a fantastic find. Excuse me, still have the cough. But anywho, yes, so I end up cutting out 6 of them. I set 2 aside, and then I'm going to use the We Are Memory Keepers Next Generation embossing folders. I love the embossing folders for 2 reasons. One, 6 by 6 fits in perfectly when you cut the die, and secondly, the image is absolutely wonderful. And here I wanted to show you on the package, it actually comes with stamps that coordinate with this. It gives you the number there, and that way you can put it on all the edges. Super extra gift. I thought it was wonderful. So I die cut, I think 5 of them, and I grabbed 5 We Are Memory Keeper embossing folders. You want to remember, if you want the image to puff up, you want to have that We Are Memory Keepers oval to the top. And it'll work every time. So just keep that there and look at, oh, just gorgeous. I love the quilted look. I love all of them. And I didn't know which one I was going to pick till after I was done. And believe it or not, on this card, I just winged it. I was just, excuse me, last and still had the cough. I think I said that. But I wanted to do a card last night, and when I found this peekaboo die where you can open up 2 windows, I thought, wow, this is crazy. I'm going to end up with 3 images. So what better stamp set did I pick but a Stampin' Up! A Very Merry Christmas set from 2000. I love this set. It's a wooden set, and I have tons of old, from the beginning of Stampin' Up!, some really old Stampin' Up! Sets that I love. And this one is no different. It has, there it is there, and it's from 2000. And I don't care whether stamps retire, they didn't retire. I had bought a lot of these when I first became a demonstrator. I'm no longer a demonstrator. That was years ago when I first started. But I love the rocking teddy bear on the rocking horse. Is that gorgeous or what? And the little teddy bear peeking out of the stocking is wonderful. So let's go along with this card. We're going to cut off just the teensy little edges that didn't make it when I put it through the embossing folder. It had just a little bit. This Fiskars little cutter there is wonderful too. Very inexpensive at Michael's. I bought this little guillotine cutter long ago, and I haven't had any issues with not being sharp. So that's wonderful. And then I took out my Stampin' Up! It's a Stampin' Up! Day, my cutter here. And you want to turn your glitter paper to the opposite side. That way you don't get any glitter all over the place and it doesn't hurt your blade. So I make this about 1/4 of an inch round that you can see the glitter. And I'm telling you, this glitter paper does glitter. That's probably why they call it glitter paper, right? Yes. And so as you see me doing this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I wanted to have magnets through the whole thing. I don't want the windows to flap open like just in the wind, just opening. So I took out my wonderful magnets, and then I took some more stash. Look at this. This is all Christmas stuff. I took out a piece of this paper, the green, but that other paper there, and this is flat gold, cardboard, flat glitter. And then I took an already embossed piece of white, but that other mesh, it's mesh material. I took a piece of that because I'm going to put it somewhere. I wasn't quite sure. And I'm just measuring all of the window openings so that it's quick for me to cut out the sections that I need. And I think you're going to find it. Look at that. That's that mesh paper. And I was so thrilled with everything I had here. And now, because I chose this quilted emboss, I decided to take out my Wink of Stella glitter pens. Now, Wink of Stella glitter pens, I want to tell you, I add a little bit of alcohol, 90% I think, into the funnel, and I add different colors down in there. I wanted this to have a little bit more gold. So in the clear container, I popped a little bit of gold. I just pinched some into the hole, and look at that. You get the sheer and the gold. And because I have 3 clear pens, I was able to get 3 different colors that I wanted. I wanted a clear silver, a clear gold, and a deep clear gold. And I do it by just adding it into the pen. And I never do direct and squeeze it onto what I'm drawing. See, it goes right down in there. I always put it on the side of my mat and I work from there. Otherwise, you could have a mess when you squeezed it. And I use my Pilot pen, this gold Pilot pen. I love it. I think everybody should have one of these in their stash. It's wonderful. But the same principle applies. When you start it, always have a sheet of paper beside you, because every time you put it down and you press it, you can get a lot of ink. And look at that. I add dots in between all of the quilts with the gold. And in real life, I love this. It came out beautiful. It dries lighter than you put it down, which I like, because it's all even. And see how over there you got those blobs? When you press down, please add some paper to the side and then press it so that when you do your dots, there's no mistakes. I'm just showing you there how beautiful the impression is on this Next Generation embossing folder. So I knew I wanted to use my 110-pound Michaels cardstock because it's super thick, and look at it on the gold. And I only want to have a tiny little bit of black showing. So I'm going to make my own card base so that it's 6.5 by 6 1/4. And then I add a 1/4 inch to the top, and you know I always put a gusset because when I open it, I'm going to be using magnets, so I'm going to need a little bit of space. I like to use the small end of a stylus when I use my scoreboard instead of using the bone folder that it comes with. It seems to get a nice deep impression and without pressing too hard so you don't crack into your card base. And then I fold it up. I grab my Teflon bone folder, and you want to make sure that you're careful on the fold. There's my gusset. And when you use magnets, you are going to need that little bit of gusset space. So my gold piece of glitter paper, that will be on the top portion. And now I need to, I'm just checking it out. And now I need to put some double-sided tape on the top, 2/4 inch, and I added a little extra piece. I must have cut it just a little over. I kind of put lots of tape on every project I have, as you know, because there's nothing worse, right, than any of your cardstock lifting up. And this Suquang tape, double-sided tape, is wonderful. It really is, and it sticks first time you put it down. So you do have to be careful. And I'm going to use the magnets, like I said, they're from Basic Gray. I won't use any other magnets. They're super thin, they're super magnetized, and they're super priced. You can't get any more super, can you? That's awesome. So I'm just going to figure out, okay, where do I want to have this? Because the top opening, this is where I'm going to need the magnet. Back to my stash with Arlene's Tacky Roll glue dots. Love these. They're just the perfect size for my magnet. And you want a positive and a negative magnet, obviously. And then you set them just so that you know that they're going to click. And they are really, really magnetized for this tiny little thin magnet. That's amazing. So I got that seated because it needs to hide underneath here, and with this sticky glue, it's fabulous. Fabuloso. I love it. And I loved making this card for you last night. I like challenging cards like this, where, step by step, you are just creating something different with each peekaboo opening, and there your magnet's working. So you have to cover the inside part, and there's no way that glitter paper's coming off with that sequin tape. I go over the edges lightly of the glitter paper so that it matches the outside card stock of the black, just making sure it all matches there. And I am, thinking, what next, Carol? What do we want to do on here? So I have to score the places that it flips open, right? So I grab my score tool, the little mini Martha Stewart score tool, I love it, and my stylus, and then I press down so that when you open them up, it has a beautiful score mark. That's what I'm trying to say. And then carefully I go over the edges of all the edging of the opening flaps, and then I fold it down, and we're going to have magnets on everything except for the top portion. So this is out of my stash. I don't know where I got this because this is leftover sheets that I keep in those large Ziploc bags. I keep them by color or season. And then I'm putting some more double-sided 1-inch tape down on the back of these. This is the flat back cardboard gold cardstock that I had in my stash. It's wonderful. It has enough glitter, but yet when you put your hand over it, it's just like silk. It's not all bumpy like the glitter paper that we used as the base. So I'm taking this off. This is a lighter cardstock, this sheet of paper, so it must have been out of a 12 by 12 cardstock piece, but I really like the color. It had the gold in it, with the beautiful filigree and the holly leaves. Very pretty. And then I take the tape off the flat gold and I put that down, and here's where the fun begins. There's always a place for me where I love it, and guess what I'm using? Yes, I'm using stickers. Sometimes people go nuts when you say stickers, but you know what? There's classy stickers, and that's what these are. Total classy stickers. That classy sticker fell on the floor. I absolutely love these stickers in silver, the silver edges. Oh yeah, they found it, no worries. There's silver, there's gold, like these beautiful gold holly leaves to match the paper. Then I picked silver little bells, Christmas bells for the gold, because my focal point on this gold, I decided to use the Tim Holtz beautiful stickers. Wait till you see those. They're in the metal. They're in the gunmetal. It's gorgeous. And then so I'm matching everything as I go along. And look at these silver. You get tons of these silver stickers on a page. Tons of them, I tell you. These are so delicate, the bells on the corner, and my focal point will be in the gunmetal. So silver just seemed to be the right corner edge to add. And for $2.50, I have to tell you, like, it's such a good deal. Even I have to switch it to American money, right, because I'm Canadian, it's still a good deal. And then I took out this floral set to add when you flip open the card. And guess what? I only did 3 sides of this 4-sided card. Yes. But how quick and easy peasy it is to put a beautiful foiled, it looks like you foiled it, and it's a sticker. That's how classy these are. It's amazing. And it's quick too. So I took out to cut up some extra 110 pound. This is the antique white from Michael's, the 110-pound cardstock. So I cut some, I want to use up everything, all my little scattering bits and bits in my craft room. And look at this image, this little bear on the rocking chair with the bugle. So I thought it's Copic time. And I wanted to use my Versamark and stamp it out, and make sure you put your powder down, your anti-static powder. I didn't on this image, but it worked out well. But I was reminded to use it because you don't want to have extra strays popping out. Sorry for my arm there. And I'm using the mirror gold to match, all the gold that's going on. And isn't that beautiful? I'm just taking a few little bits off because I didn't put the anti-static powder down. And then we will heat set that, and look at that mirror gold. Love this embossing powder. It is so classy. That's what this card is to me. It's over the top bling, but I love it. And then we're going to do a shaker. Yes, this is going to be an actual shaker right here. Isn't that amazing? And I'm only going to do it one high. And then the stocking with the little bear, cute, 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 all with the same embossing powder, the mirror gold. And I did use the anti-static powder, which makes a huge difference. And here's my G94, G40, and my R59. They're not in the same family, but they sure look classy. And I'm going to explain something, how I do fur with it. And I'm sorry my big fat hand got in the way. I didn't even think to move it over, but I will explain it to you. Quite easy. When I do fur, all I do is little dots. I dot everything so that I have the three different colors, my light tone in the center, my mid-tone moving out, and the dark around the edges, but they're little dots. I take my micro brushes and I take my liquid Versamark, and I'll show you that later on because somebody asked me to show the tube of it, so I will display that in a little bit. And then you take your micro brush, you daub it really thick onto the bear so that the fur has different textures up and down, and it will add to the dots you add with your Copics. And when you melt it, you do it about 3 or 4 times on the same image, and that bear will stand out like crazy. It will look like actual fur. It's amazing. I love this method. I love dotting an image. And look at this. I'm going to try and get close up. Look at the glitter and the texture and all the different shades you get on that one bear by just adding dots. I love this rocking horse with that bear. I really do. It was so much fun. Then I added some, I think it's my R59, to the bugle. And then I add a lighter red, just dotting it because it's a very small image. And when you put the Versamark on there and you heat set your image with the gold, it's easy to stay in the lines. Now your Y28 is your gold with your Copic markers. And I add that to the wood on the bottom. Yep, there it is. And then I add different colors. And believe it or not, I add some greens, some reds, some brown tones. There it is there. Embossing dauber, clear, translucent embossing powder. And you can get that online as well. And then I am adding it with my micro brush to the areas, and I want that wood to stand out, so I do 3 layers. I add my YO2 because that's the undertone. My first color will always be the undertone. Then I add layers over top. So my Y28 is next to get that gold, and then a few of the brown colors I'll put in there for richness and to show shadow. And then my rocking horse is done. It needed to be light. I wanted the bear to just stand out, and that's what's going under the first flap. And look how much it matches, how well actually it matches the gold glitter paper. Now we need to ground it, so I added my Y28. I add my light mint green, and I add some reds, I'm not even sure of this one. It might be my R59 because it's in the Loganberry color. I mix it all together, and this is like a pistachio green underneath there, and look at that, so beautiful. I only put the double-sided roll of sticky tape one high, and I cut it thin, and then I'm putting this iridescent stars. There's a reason for that. I want them to look like they're coming out of the bugle, and I used the gold as well. So it's gold and iridescent, and on the iridescent it has that little bit of pink, which just sets it off. And then I add some Scotch tape around so that there's no way that any of these glitter pieces are going to escape. And see how nice and thin this is, because when you use magnets, you don't want this shaker to be too high. It will take away from the total effect of having these flip open peekaboo windows. So you still get the shaky in there because you have it one high, but it's nice and smooth, and it just, I don't know, this image is simply beautiful. On the back side of this, you don't have to worry because we're going to use that beautiful netting paper with the gold filigree on it. It's so soft and it's so beautiful. You use double-sided tape, you peel it off, and it sticks down. It looks like nylon. It's the texture of it is just wonderful. Yes, I'm not going to say gorgeous, I'm going to say wonderful. So now when you flip the flap, we have to decide, okay, I need something on the inside of this flap. So I just take a pencil, I just cut it with scissors because you have so much texture there you won't notice whether it's straight, if it's off a little bit. I go over the bumps with my Versamark, and then I'm going to add the same mirror gold, and because this way it only hits the tops of the emboss, and it's kind of like a filigree as well. Then I go over it with my brush so that I can place it in different areas so it doesn't look uniform. Then I heat set it, and look at that. It almost looks like metal on here. That's how gorgeous it looks. The effect is twofold. It looks 3D, it stands out, and then you have this beautiful rub and buff gold. It's another staple, silver and gold rub and buff. You get it at Michael's. You just put it on your finger, you squeeze it out, and a little goes a long way. I had to put a needle down in there. It had dried up on the top. But a little does go a long way, and look at the effect that you get on there. It is just like a coin, like a gold coin. And the metallic look is wonderful, especially we're going to use that Tim Holtz silver metal, and so this is like a gold metal effect. And then you take a paper towel after this and you just shine it up, you buff it up. That's why I guess they call it rub and buff. You rub it on and you buff it up, and it is like having an actual piece of metal. That's what this paper looks like. Gorgeous, 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 I have to say. And you have, take your finger when a lot of it's gone and go in the middle, and it kind of looks like a little bit of silver on there without using silver. Then we're going to take our distress tool, distress the edges, of course, and this is cut out to be exact so we can put it on one of the backs of the flap. And then I take the marigold, just a lighter shade to pop that up, and beauteous. I just love it. Rub and Buff comes in the gold and the silver, and I love using it to have that metal effect on any raised image. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Then I'm going to take the double-sided tape to make sure this doesn't come off. Because you have the ridges, you want to have a really good tape behind there. Your ATG gun would work wonderfully as well. But I have my 1/4 inch one that I love to use, needs to have the refill put back in. Otherwise I would have used that because I love the gold tape. When you buy the gold, it's super, super sticky. So I'm just throwing that out there. Look at that close up. Isn't it beautiful? And that's going to go behind right there. And like I said, I'm just rolling with this card. No plan in my head. I knew I had wanted to use that 2000 Berry Merry Christmas stamp set because I haven't used it. And it was in my stash. And like I told you, I am going shopping in my craft room, and I picked all of these out, and I'm so pleased with everything so far. I think it's coming together wonderful. I already have the tape on there, so I want to make sure that my magnet goes on, because this is where I want it to, the second one is going to be magnetized. I think the most time-consuming element of making a card like this that has the flip-ups is using the magnets. When you use magnets, you have to put them on before you put the cardstock down. Yeah, and then I end up putting the cardstock down and realize, no, my magnet has to go in there. See that? So I had to have my magnet in there, but I had to have it on the other side as well. So I had to lift this after I already put that really sticky double-sided tape on there. And you know what saved me? The 110-pound Michaels cardstock. It was thick enough that I could raise it up, and it was a tad bit crooked. I needed to remove it. It came apart wonderfully, and my magnets are in place. Isn't that wonderful? Now, the one thing is I had to set a magnet on top. There was no way I was ripping this gold apart. I wasn't going to risk it, so I set the magnet on top, and I put the real sticky Arlene's dots on there, and I thought I'm going to go to my stash and I'm going to get some gold ribbon, and I'm going to cover it with that. Look at that. Because my image, the whole frame is going to go on top of this, but you still want to make sure that when you flip open one of the peekaboo windows, if you happen to see that, you don't want to see the magnet. So I just covered it with ribbon. And gold on gold, it looks really sweet. So I got out my detailed glue gun because it's thinner, and I was able to put that down. Now back to stickers. Here's the gold super fine stickers. I thought this needed to have something on both sides that was classy and would bring that horse out, and it wouldn't look so naked when you opened it up. So it gave me that beautiful gold effect with the gold stars. Really happy with this. I really am. We are going to have to go back to the glitter paper where I put the magnet on there, and we're going to have to cover it with this beautiful gold ribbon. So I took my detailed glue gun. I have 4 glue guns, yes. Each plays a specific role though, and this one is super detailed. It gives me a fine line, which you need when you're using ribbon because you don't want to see that blob of glue. And you're still going to see a little bit of a lift on the magnet, but it's okay. It really does come out in the long run. And look at this video so long, it started to snow. Yeah, I know it's a long video. I always feel bad when it's super long, but this is 3 card fronts, really. Different ideas for card fronts, and it's a longer video because of having the flaps, the peekaboo look, and the coloring, yada yada yada. It's just a long video. Why make excuses for it, right? It's just one of those long videos, which my cards tend to be getting because I'm doing more detailed cards, and that's what I love. They're larger cards, and I love doing all sides on my cards, except for this one. I didn't do the back. I left it flat. Now look at, oh, you could use that just as a front cover. I love this metal look. I'm going to explain what I do when I have an emboss, like an area that is high and I don't want to press on it because then I'm going to take out that embossed poofy look. So I take some glue dots and I raise up the double-sided tape and I put it underneath. That way I know it's going to secure it. I'm not going to have to press super hard to get this to stick to the white paper, and it works very well. And then when I take the double-sided tape off and I'm going to seat it on that beautiful glitter paper that's underneath right here, I do use hot glue. Yes, right on top of the double-sided tape. Tape on glue. It works wonderfully and it will never come off because as you know, glitter needs some extra attention to get your paper to seat on it and not come off. So the hot glue works wonderfully. I just make sure that I get it all the way around as straight as I can. Then I will lift the edges and I will put hot glue. Look at that. And you don't take the poofy out of your poofy. Yeah, it works wonderfully, doesn't it? I just love it. Now, moving right along, I have to decide how I'm going to arrange the section underneath. And the first thing I want to do here, as I'm looking at it, I want to have those edges with the stars. Because of the star glitter, the gold edging looks beautiful with the stars shooting out. It draws attention to the inside with the glitter, and that's why I buy these wonderful stickers. They're just a sweet addition to any corner of your cards. So let's move on to the inside. This is where I'm going to put this beautiful little bear. He's so cute. I do the same thing when I Copic color it. I dot it. And when I do the dots, I do it just like I was flicking the color on with my mid-tone, my light tone, and my dark tone. The only difference is I'm adding dots for texture. Because if you put straight lines, you're not going to get any texture. And then around the edges, I keep my edges, if you see this, light on the corners, like where the bends would be. And then I add with my micro brush, I add my Dauber Versamark and heat set it, and here comes that gunmetal stickers from Tim Holtz. Love it. So I just go around cutting it out, hoping that I didn't cut too much off. You can always, it's hard to, you could take it away, but it's awful hard to put it back, right? So here that worked out very well, didn't it? And then I'm going to add some acetate for the top, but I don't color in the stocking. I want it to look the off-white. I want it just the bear to bounce off as my focal image. So once again, I take my detailed glue gun, only doing one section at a time because this is only going to stick to the acetate, right? Because the cardstock you'll have to go in like this and do it. So I do it section at a time, not all at once. Because if I make a boo-boo, I'm going to have to lift it, and I don't want to do that. And another thing I find when I use my other white, the glue guns that I get, glue guns, plural, I get from Walmart, for some reason they don't leave strands. But when I use this glue gun, the detailed one, it tends to have those spider strands. It drives me crazy, but I work with it. And here we go. So you have the acetate. Then I take some more of the metal stickers. This is very thick cardstock, by the way, Tim Holtz stickers. It's on, instead of being very fine like the other stickers are, this has more texture to the paper. So I decided to put two different looks on it. The top and the bottom will have the ovals to match the oval frame, and then the side will give us the jaggedy look pointing in towards my focal image. I did color in the holly, and I did color in the bow on the little bear, and I did use 3 or 4 layers of embossing powder when I heat set it over top of the bear image to stand out. And it does, even underneath the acetate. And then I add a sticker on top of this sticker because for some reason it got lost in there. So I'm putting it down, even though these are sticky on the one side, you don't want to risk it over time. So just add some hot glue underneath it. And you get these stickers at Michael's. I think those I got at Hobby Lobby because there was a sale on Tim Holtz stickers. And look at those stars shooting out on the edge. And then I added some black zigzag on the side because I noticed on this side I was a little tad too much gold showing. So this will eliminate it. It'll take your eye away from that and it looks perfectly straight. And that's why I use these thin stickers. It is an illusion that I didn't make a mistake when I did. There was too much gold at the top and too thin at the bottom. But when I added this and then I took my distress tool, you'd never know it. Isn't that wonderful? Well, we're almost finished. Can you believe it? Almost. So let's put on that sticker, the jaggedy sticker on the edges. I love the shininess of it with the Wink Estella gold on the quilted look and the dots underneath. I think it's coming together. And I also add glue with my detailed glue gun as well underneath. I really do fear anything coming off when I mail out a card. I'm going to do a lot of gift giveaways on my cards over the Christmas time. Just pick some of my comments and send you out a card. So I'm not too sure. Here's that mesh paper. It's just beautiful. I don't know where I got it. I've had it in my stash forever, but it's a beautiful mesh with the same type filigree as the inside green cardstock. I cut this out and this is going to be, when you lift the flap, you're going to see this beautiful swirls, and it has the beautiful gold, so it all matches. And when you take the tape off, it will stick, even though it's kind of like a see-through mesh. You don't even see the tape on it. So we'll seat that underneath on the flap. And what's really sweet about this, we are going to also use a belly band. Yes, I haven't used a belly band on a card forever. So here I've got it down. We're going to cut it off, and I think it just adds another element of elegance to the flap. I like to have everything covered, and I think this is very pretty, don't you? Just a fun card to make for you. As I look at it during the edit, I really do love this mesh. It's so pretty. It's so light, and you can't tell that there's tape on the back. I'm showing you that even though we use just one layer of the double-sided tape, all of those stars move around very well. I don't have a problem with it. And then I don't know why I keep showing this ivy. I don't use it right there. I did color it just in case. I was going to put that element somewhere, but it just didn't fit, so I put it aside for another project. Then I need to have the sentiment on the inside on this gold. So I took out, while I'm staring at that, I took out 3 different dies that I had in my stash from when I first started stamping. I bought this, and I just love this one because it cuts out the holes. And the next one, it cuts around the edge, but it doesn't cut out the inside holes. It embosses it, which is lovely. And this is the same set, so I do those 2 at first, and then I leave that spare one just in case I need it. And I don't color it. I leave it nice and clean, like the nice clean look here. Isn't that pretty? And this is what I did, friends. I just went to my stash, and all the stuff that, you know, we hoard and we don't use and we forget about, I went around my craft room to search out some things that I don't use. And here's another one I don't use much, and that's punches. And I wanted to just use the inside, although it does make the 2 outer pieces. I just used the inside piece. And there you go. Easy peasy. You don't even have to run it through your die cutting machine. I pressed it so hard though I had to snap it open again. There we go. Yeah, isn't that pretty? And that's an EK Success punch, excuse me. Now I sewed this in. I was going to put this on the inside, but remember we used the magnet. No bulk. You can't have any bulk when you have a magnet. When that flap comes down, it will hit the bulk first and won't touch the magnet. So out it came. Yes. But I decided to use, though I already cut off that beautiful stretchy gold twine, or whatever you call that there, ribbon I already cut that off, so I was going to use it, but I decided to take my glue gun and put this in flat. Yes, just like that. Press it in and leave it just as when you open up the flap there, you have enough going on. Leave it clean and simple, nice and flat. Yes, flatten that out, Carol, because that has to hit the bump right there, your magnet. Yes, so here I go. I'm just showing you here. If you have a curved image, just take some of your curved dies and cut it out, and it looks beautiful to put them down. Any curved die will work well if you don't have a die that goes with your stamp. And look how pretty this looks when you're finished. But I didn't use it. I just kept it in there to show you that there are alternatives if a die doesn't come with the stamp set. I set that aside for another project, and I'm going to move on to putting pearls. I didn't have enough to do the entire quilted area, but I did have enough to do two sides, and then two sides I use my little tiny diamonds, and it worked beautifully to have both of them. Now I'm grabbing my silver. This is my clear, but I added some silver Winkestella to the clear because I find the silver way too deep. It's too deep, so I just add happy. I put it on the mat. I take it from the mat and I add it to the top portion so that I have silver and gold on this. I mix it up. So I have gold on the larger area of the poofy flap, the poofy quilt, and then I added silver and gold, kind of not in any particular order. I just went around. I wanted it to stand out. I'm not putting, the belly band is going to seat on this. It dries instantly, and look at it looks like tiles. It's that beautiful, and it gives a wonderful metal look to the metal type elements that we used on the inside of the card. So here we have the teensy weensy little pearls. I wish I had had enough of them to go all the way around, but you have to improvise, and so I did this two sides with the teensy weensy pearls, and the other two sides I used diamonds. Now I take my pick stick and I add ortho wax, orthodontic wax that you buy at any pharmacy. And then I twist it up and I put it on the end because it will pull those little elements off and it'll stick them down. Look at that. You don't have to fuss with having to chase after them. And there you have it. It just flicks down. All of these magnets are working wonderful. There's a magnet underneath there. And now I'm going on to the diamonds, and see how the ortho wax just picks up. I just slide it. It sticks to the orthodontic wax. And then you just press it down with the wax, and there's no mess. It leaves no marks because it's clear. The wax is clear. Because I find with this pick stick, sometimes it's hard to twist that green stuff that out of the top. So, working in orthodontics, I had some orthodontic wax, and I implemented it to the end of my pick stick. Now for the belly band, I'm going to take this stretchy cord that I had in my stash. It's gold and black weaved cord, just beautiful. I put some on the one end. I'm going to cover it with that mesh because that was left over and I have double-sided tape on it so I can stick it down. I take it, put it on the outside. That's what's going to hold that flap, so I didn't have to use all magnets. And I go around, I measure what I need, and it's just a little bit stretchy. It doesn't have a real boing boing stretch to it, but it is stretchy enough that it'll slide over nicely. I add some of the hot glue and I take it off. I know exactly where I have to place it, and there you have a beautiful gold belly band. So let's put this mesh over top because the glue's already on there. It will cover it. But because you're sliding it over top, you did need to have something over top of the cord, but you don't have to worry that that's going to be seen too much because the belly band is really for the front. And then we have the emboss from the die. I'm going to put actual pearls and diamonds to match the edging around that one part. So on the bottom I put one size up, not the teensy ones, it's one side up. I'll go along, and I have the indents from the emboss die that embossed them in, so I know exactly where to set them and they'll be even. And then I put that top and bottom, then I grab my little teensy diamonds to put on the other side, and we are finished this card. So, oh no, they're one size up, excuse me. I had this framed diamond set that I got at Michael's a long time ago. So I decided instead of putting them on one by one, I would just cut off 8 of them. Yes, I remember from last night there was 8 going across there. And then I just, and it seeped beautifully in those little wee embossed indents that were in this die. Well, I want to thank all my new subscribers, all my subscribers that have been with me for some time. Thank you so much. Thank you for your lovely comments, for your prayers during this time where I've had pneumonia. And I appreciate that as well. I sure have, I think, some of the best subscribers on YouTube on my channel. So I do appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you. And you always let me know what you think of the card and what you liked best. That's so encouraging to me. I have some wonderful tutorials going up next week. I just received my design team project supplies, so I'll be doing that. I'm going to do some bow maker ribbons to show you for gift wrapping for Christmas. And I'm also going to do the 25 days of Christmas. I'm on the 14th, and I'm going to try to go live on that. So lots going on. Hopefully I'm feeling better each day. I seem to be a bit stronger. And look at the bear. Doesn't he look real? I love using my micro brushes with the liquid Versamark and the Copic dotted method. I think looks gorgeous. I love using belly bands. Oh yes, let's bring those belly bands back. That way you don't have to use all of the magnets. Anywho, I shall see you on the next tutorial. Have a blessed week, everybody. Thank you so much for your kindness. Take care.